Despite the outrage over a TaxiForSure cab driver being found masturbating behind the wheel by a woman passenger, the man is still out on the loose. Activists are questioning now why no action has been taken by the Delhi police in the case. It raises the big question: is the police across this country serious when it comes to women's safety, particularly when it involves private taxis? Simi Pasha and Anusha Soni now report.
I saw that his hand, one of his hand was like between his legs, and I wasn't sure what was happening, but then I saw his hands move in a very vigorous, violent way. So I asked him, "आप क्या कर रहे हो? आपको शर्म नहीं आती है?" And he said, "क्या किया मैंने? बताओ."
Delhi woman recounting her horrifying ordeal, alleging that a TaxiForSure driver traumatized her by masturbating during a ride from South Delhi to Faridabad. Wary of filing a police case, the woman took to social media sites to narrate her trauma. But the Delhi police failed to take suo motu action even after a day, only promising to probe the matter, while no FIR has been registered yet. And the pervert driver continues to roam free in the capital.
देखिए, इन सब के खिलाफ हम एक्शन समय समय पर लेते रहे हैं और हमारा एक्शन जारी है और हम एक्शन लेते भी रहेंगे।
सो मोटो एक्शन लेने का हमें अधिकार है, तो हम उसको जरूर लेंगे और कोशिश करेंगे कि पीड़िता का नंबर लेके उनसे भी फोन पे बात करें।
TaxiForSure, however, assured full support to the woman passenger, blacklisting driver Devendra Kumar and terminating him from services.
In spite of countless campaigns, protests and demonstrations, women continue to feel unsafe on Delhi's roads. What's most alarming about this latest case is that in spite of it making headlines in the national media, there's been no police action so far.
While safety concerns and app-based cab services return to haunt women, Delhi High Court raised doubts on complete ban on app-based cabs. The top court set aside Kejriwal government's ban order on Uber and other app-based cab services, asking it to reconsider license applications.
We don't find it safe, so I won't even attempt to go in a cab at night. So many incidents, so many things, I just don't feel safe at all.
In the afternoons it's still okay, but usually evenings it's a little unsafe. You know, you have that, you're skeptical to go out and you have that agitation whether it's alright or not and like that.
I think every force of the society has to work in tandem to prevent such crimes.
The big question remains that how far will these companies go to secure and maintain the security of women and other passengers in these taxis. As the repeated cases of molestation and harassment of women come to light, one has to wait and watch how much does the company and the government step in. With camera person Shakil Ahmed, this is Anusha Soni for India Today.
Now the big question is safety in these private taxi services. Remember that horrific rape incident in December, this incident of masturbating in front of a passenger raising troubling questions. Joining me now, Kiran Bedi, former IPS officer, and Kulan Lalani in my studios, founder Mega Cabs and president of the Association of Radio Taxis. Kiran Bedi, your first reactions to the fact that the police has still not filed a suo motu claim. When I spoke to the girl yesterday, she was too scared, she said, to file an FIR. She was hoping that the police would do it and then she would testify. Your view, do you believe the police in a case like this should take suo motu action?
Yes, I do believe. I do believe they should have done it. They should have done it, impounded the vehicle, got the driver into custody and sent notices wherever they can go on the application owners. They should have shown aggression. And I also believe, on second point, this is not exclusively a traffic police matter. It's a government response. This is the Delhi government response which involves Delhi Traffic Police and the Delhi Transport Department. This is a Delhi issue. It's not only Delhi Traffic Police or police issue. It's a government response which involves transport and traffic police. So when you go in for an isolated response, you have a problem. When you go for a government response, you have solutions. I think we are not getting into traffic.
No, you're saying
we're not getting into solutions.
No, let's look at it. Here is a case, and I'll come back to you in a moment because I want to get the views of someone who runs one of these. Kunal Lalani, tell me. The taxi service tells us that they have terminated the services of the driver. Thereby they wash their hands of a case like this. Is that enough? The fact is that the taxi service doesn't seem to want to take responsibility also by filing an FIR. So the girl is too scared to file an FIR at the moment. The taxi service refuses to file an FIR, and the police doesn't file an FIR, and the man is out there. He may be today, even as we speak, driving a car and God knows doing what. Why doesn't a taxi service take greater responsibility for its drivers?
Well, Rajdeep, we have been shouting from rooftops for the last 8 months regarding this. The real problem lies in the licensing of the taxi services. The service in mention right now is unlicensed. So the big difference right now about safety and security emanates from the fact that there is an unlicensed service which there is no verification, no methodology of checking. Had it been a licensed service, then all these would have been the responsibility of the licensed company or the operator.
Uber claims that they've got verification of all driver partners done with police, establishment of a dedicated local incident response team there to handle critical situations 24/7, an app which has an SOS button. Are you saying that these private services are not doing due diligence?
I request you to go to each one of their websites, whether it's Uber, Ola or TaxiForSure. All of them wash their hands of their liability and responsibility of the actions of the driver. And that's where, when you sign on and you book the cab, you're already accepting those terms and conditions.
You're saying that these private car services are refusing to take liability of the drivers.
Absolutely.
That's your big concern. I remember we asked the concerned company to come on the program. They haven't chosen to do so. But Kiran Bedi, you know, the answer surely is not banning these cab services. Many of them are very useful. Many of these, including Ola, Uber, have a regular fixed clientele which also now has begun to trust them. The question is, how do you ensure greater safety, and how do you ensure that these companies have greater liability if something goes wrong?
My fellow panelist exactly said what I'm saying. There's a systemic failure, and this systemic failure is shared between Delhi Traffic Police and Delhi Transport. And Transport is more than the Delhi Traffic Police. There's something to be done by the Transport Department. There's something to be done by the Delhi Traffic Police. And both are not doing their job. Both are not doing their job. Because licenses, now the High Court has said, these applications cannot be banned, but you make conditions of safety in the licenses. Put women's safety issues in the licenses and make them suable. So this is between the Delhi government and Delhi Traffic Police. What the Transport Department is supposed to do will benefit Delhi Traffic Police, and what Delhi Traffic Police will do benefit Transport Department. The point is they both have to work together. How do they work together?
Who should take the liability for the driver? In a case like this, who should take the liability for a driver, Kiran Bedi? Should the taxi company be liable for the driver? When I sit in a taxi, if a young woman sits in a taxi, she's taken she's paid her money, who is liable? Should the taxi service be liable or not for the driver? Should the taxi service have filed an FIR?
Absolutely liable. Absolutely liable, but provided the license has those conditions.
Okay,
My fellow panelist is right.
That's an important point.
They don't have a license. They don't have those conditions.
Let me check that. Are you saying that the licensing conditions do not involve imposing liability on the drivers? Are you saying that the taxi services today, which are plying on the road, do not have as part of their licensing agreement having to impose liability on the actions of their drivers?
Not at all. As per the licensing conditions of the Delhi radio taxi scheme, which is the Delhi government rules and regulations, the operator who takes a license is liable, responsible and will be held.
That's for a radio taxi scheme. That's what you're pitching for. But are you saying the private cab services are not liable?
Firstly,
this is not part of their licensing conditions?
Firstly, I would like to clarify. I think over the last 8 to 10 months, there's been a clear confusion in the mind of the viewer as well as even, I would say, the customers.
Yes.
There is nothing known as app-based service. All of us are app-based. All the companies, it's just that they talked about it. We all now, as per the new laws, are allowed to aggregate. Whether you are licensed or not licensed, you're allowed to aggregate. So the fact is, there is licensed taxi service and there's unlicensed taxi service. There is no app-based service in radio
Are you
taxi.
all liable for the actions of your drivers?
Absolutely. As per our
You are
stringent-
liable. You are saying the private car services do not take the liability in as part of their contract.
Because they claim they don't have a license, so they do not need to follow the rules of the land.
Okay, so that is the weakness you're saying in the system which needs to be plugged in. As Kiran Bedi says, this cannot be a one-ticket solution. This needs to be a comprehensive systemic solution which involves the transport department as well, not just the private cab service. I'm going to leave it there, and we're going to see whether the Delhi government or the Delhi police or indeed the girl herself files an FIR in a case like this and makes it an example. Thank you both very much for joining me on the news today at 9.